Grand Rising, Munch. Oh, you're in the PR. Okay. Awesome. I hope you enjoyed that. No snow here. We didn't get anything. If you see anything white and glistening, it's just ice. How's it going down there? You guys enjoying it? I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. 80 degrees in the morning. I'm sure it is. Say hello to the beach for me, please, sir. Beach, live, love later. I know that's right. Well, I'm glad you found time in your visit over there to join the live. I should go now. Yeah. Yeah, you have to take time for things that you want to do. I appreciate you being here. Oh, you should go to the beach. I got you. It was a struggle this morning, please believe me. I don't think I got to sleep last night until after 3. But you know, we do what we do because we love it. Right. I don't know what it was. I was really, really sleepy when I went to bed. I was good and tired. And I just kind of did my little decompression thing, and I finally fell asleep. And I woke up. It was about, I went to bed kind of early, so it was about 9 o'clock when I woke up, and then I just couldn't go back. Couldn't go back until about 3. Hey, Naya. But I wouldn't be sleeping probably over there in Puerto Rico either. You know, I collect sand. I don't know if I have any Puerto Rico sand. I don't know. Okay, do that for me. And I can put it into my collection. Throw a seashell in there too, please. And thank you. Yeah, something about I just collect the sand from, from the places that I go to. Trying to get a decent view of that red. There we go. There we go. How is everybody doing this morning? Chelsea, and people do what they want to do. How are you guys this morning? It's a cold winter morning in Alabama, as it is, I'm sure, at most of the country, except where Munch is. It's 80 degrees. But you gotta love it for the brother. Absolutely. About to get your day started. Cool. It's Wednesday. It's hump day. So not much longer. Absolutely, Chelsea. Well, this is a way that we can do it. We got a good topic today. I know I say that all the time. But to me, every topic is good because when I think about things that I want to talk about and I do all my research and I get all my stuff together about it, I'm like, ooh, this is good. This is going to be good. And I do that for everything. So, but this is the right place to start some things off positive. I appreciate you so much. Hopefully what we have today will touch you and reach you in some way and give you the positivity that you're looking for. So y'all grab your warm drinks or your cold drink, whatever it is that you drink in the morning. Get your drink so we can get this party started. As usual, I have my nice hot cup of coffee. Yeah, that'd be nice. Some soursop juice. Absolutely. Let me find out you getting healed over there, El Real. Best part about being in those countries, is that the heat is real. I'm sure. Are the juices that you get from the fruteras. Oh my goodness, those juices. Do you ever notice, El Real, that in the States, it's like you have to drink so much juice, but when you're out of the country and you drink the juices from the fruteras or wherever you get yours, it's like you don't have to drink as much? I noticed that a little bit. Yeah, look at that sky. Look how pretty that is. But y'all, I want to start a new Sunrise Live series. It's called Grief with No Drama. Grief without the drama. Not to talk about any one story, but to talk about what grief actually looks like when it shows up in our lives in all forms. So I want you to join me today for the first part of this series called Anticipatory Grief. Loving what you haven't lost yet. It's anticipatory grief is the kind of grief that doesn't always get named, but a lot of people are carrying it right now, I'm sure, with everything that's going on in the world, all the uncertainty that's happening around us. People are grieving something that has yet to come, whether it be the loss of a job, the loss of a loved one, the loss of a relationship. Even when you shed your own you, your old you, that's a loss as well. It's the grief that shows up before something is gone before anything has officially ended. That's what we call anticipatory grief. It's a good or a bad thing. I don't know. Depends on you. To me, anticipatory grief, because I'm in it right now, has me feeling like I'm going to grieve twice. It's what you feel when you sense a change is coming. Have you ever dated someone and you just kind of knew that the relationship was over, but nobody says anything? You're still going on about your business, but there's this little nagging pain that's in you that's knowing that this is about to happen. That's anticipatory grief. You are anticipating the breakup of that relationship, and so you're mourning it before it's even gone. Just to give it a little context about what anticipatory grief is. When something feels fragile, when you know life is shifting, but you don't know how yet, you know something is coming. You know something is coming. And because nothing has happened yet, we tell ourselves that we shouldn't feel this way. What am I sad for? Nothing's even happened yet. But this kind of grief only shows up. It doesn't only show up, around people, about when we grieve, when we're grieving people. Like I said before, you can grieve a version of your old life, a health change, a relationship shifting. Maybe it doesn't have to end, but the dynamics of that relationship is shifting. It doesn't always have to be a romantic relationship. It can just be friendships. It can just be people that are in your life. We can be anticipating the grief of a season ending. And a dream that looks a little bit different from what it looked like before. And you also could be grieving a sense of certainty that you used to have. I know I grieved that one time. When you were so positive about everything, every decision was such a positive decision. So that's what I want to get into today. Grief doesn't need your permission. It arrives when something meaningful feels at risk. I want you to remember that. When something meaningful feels at risk, we feel grief. Y'all take a minute and share out loud. So, remember we talked about how when you start to feel that way, you almost feel guilty about feeling that way? Good morning, Fluffy. I'm going to call that the quiet confusion. One of the hardest parts of anticipatory grief is how confusing it feels because you're still living your life. Things are still technically okay, but understand that there's sadness, fear, and tenderness. How are you this morning, Fluffy? Good to see you. And yes, you don't always know where to put it. Sometimes we look for things and we want to put them in these nice, neat little packages, and sometimes we just don't know where to put grief. Good morning, Allie. For those of you who just joined, we are in part 1 of a new series called Grief Without the Drama. The first session in this is, I'm feeling good this morning, Fluffy. A little bit sleepy, but I'm good. This is the first part in a series, a new series called Grief Without the Drama. And the first part of this series that we're going over today is called Anticipatory Grief. The grief that we are grieving and and while we're waiting for something to happen, the grief that we have when we know something is changing, when we know a season in our life is changing. We know when it gets time to it's time to leave that job, but you're going to grieve the convenience that the other job gave you. Good morning, Fifth. How are you this morning, Lena? Thank you for getting your heart me. Thank you so much for reaching level 14 in the group. We appreciate you being here. So you're in this position where you're still living your life. Things are still technically okay, right? But underneath that, there's sadness, fear, and tenderness. It's like a soft spot. It's a spot that's raw. That's the way that I describe it. And because we don't know always where to put it, we just let it hang around and we just let it linger. So when you're feeling this anticipatory grief, it doesn't mean that you're being negative. People always have this connotation that everything is always negative with grief, and that's not the case. Think about good morning, Lily. Think about when you are about to mourn the loss of a season in your life that no longer fits you. So you're thinking about those things, and you know those things are come to pass, but you're already sad about it. And you know what we do? Because we don't know where to put it, we don't know what to do with it, we feel guilty about having it because nothing's really happened yet. We try to avoid it. We try to stay busy. We try to stay positive, distracted, or we just clam up about it. We just don't say anything about it. Yes, feel this with stages of motherhood all the time. Absolutely, because we are always grieving a piece of them that was gone. That little girl that used to climb up in our laps. I think about my son when he was little, was climbing up in my laps. Now his kid is climbing up in my lap, and it's just like I grieve that portion of him that's a baby. I'm glad he's a grown man and he's going about his life, but that just goes to show you how grief looks. But I want to tell you something about unacknowledged grief. It settles into the body, and we're going to talk about that. Let's go a little bit deeper into grief settling in the body. When grief doesn't get the name that it deserves, when we don't treat grief the way we should be treating grief, it doesn't disappear. It, like I said, it settles right in the body. And a lot of times we think something is wrong with us when really our body is just holding on. Our body is just holding on to something we never gave words to. Let's talk about some physical ways that grief can show up. I've noticed grief showing up to me as like a heaviness in my shoulders, a tightness in my chest. Lena, thank you so much for sharing the live. A lump in my throat that comes and goes, a wave of feeling that rushes over me. My breathing becomes shallow. And unhealed and unnamed grief can make you tired. Body aches that don't have a clear explanation. You know, we get those as we grow old anyway, but sometimes we're just over there just feeling all kind of ways and we don't even know what it is. It's probably some unnamed grief. It's probably something you haven't given a name to or sought help for. I'm going to always suggest that people seek professional help if they need to. These lives are just a way to get you from point A to point B, maybe. Sometimes it looks like tension. You know, that numbing feeling that you want to make happen when you're feeling grief and sadness, or grief and happiness, because they can occupy the same space at the same time. Please understand that. Because just like in motherhood, you mourn in the child that you used to have, but you're also joyous and looking forward to the adult that they're becoming. Sometimes it looks like tension, sometimes it looks like numbness. And none of that means you're broken. All that means is that you're human, you have feelings, you understand what's important to you, because we don't grieve anything that's not important to us. If it's not important to us, we just flick our wrists and go on about our business. But know that when grief comes, that means that that was valuable to you. Whatever it is that you're losing once meant something to you. And we want to make sure that we're not holding on to this. We're naming it something so that our body doesn't have to keep the score for it. Your body isn't betraying you when you start to feel these things. It's telling you something. It's communicating with you. Remember, emotions are information. When something mattered, the body remembers. Even when the mind tries to move it out, even when the mind tries to say that's no longer important, we're not dealing with that anymore. Until you deal with that grief by sitting with it, you're not going to move on, and it's going to sit there in your body just like dreams and desires that don't get fulfilled. They sit in your chest and they fester. I don't understand why this happens exactly. But I think a lot of it is because we've learned to be strong. You know, every time something happens to us, you know, we're told to be strong. I'm praying for your strength. That's what people say. They want you to be strong. They're praying for your strength. They want you to keep showing up. They want you to keep functioning. And that, my friends, is what puts that stress and taxingness on your body. And that's because our bodies don't operate on deadlines or expectations. So grief finds another way to be felt. If you're not going to deal with it in your mind and in your heart, guess what? Your body's going to let you feel it. I think this is a lot of reason why, you know, you see some older people and they are living a nice full life, and then their full life, and then one of the spouses dies, and then shortly after it. I think that's just grief. And I think that grief can just kind of take you down through there, you know? Another way it shows up in your body is, just making you tired. You ever thought, why am I so tired? Why does my chest feel tight for no reason? Why do I feel off? That can be some grief asking to be noticed. And here's the part that I want to say clearly. It's not about force and release. You don't have to cry every time you think about being in grief. You don't have to dig anything up. But sometimes it's just enough to say, my body is holding something tender. Good morning, Savvy. Just acknowledging what it is your body is doing for you while you're having this grief. So there are some grounding practices that I use when I'm feeling this way. I do a little breath work. I do a little breath work with my hand on my chest and my stomach so I'm conscious of my breath. Uh-oh. Sorry, y'all. My bad. My phone stand is acting crazy this morning. I've experienced headaches when I never get them. It's something that your body always tells you. So I think when those things come, we have to just kind of rest when our body says rest. I do the breath work. I take the rest that I need. I feel stress and tension up in my shoulders. That's where it gets me, up in my shoulders. So I rotate my shoulders. I hunch my shoulders a lot. Just trying to work it out. Just trying to work it out a little bit. Get it moving. Because if y'all don't understand and realize by now that things manifest through the body, I don't know what to tell you. It is so real. It is so real. And all of these things are just little small acts of permission that you give yourself to acknowledge this grief. To hold on to this grief. Good morning, Laura. Asara, I'm sorry, I probably said that wrong. My apologies. But grief doesn't need to be pushed out of the body. It just needs to be met there. You just need to acknowledge to your body, okay, I feel this. I feel this grief. I feel this pain. I know this is where this is coming from. I'm mourning the loss of a friend. I'm mourning the loss of a loved one. I'm mourning the loss of this season in my life where, yeah, it was good, but I wasn't a good boundary keeper. So I'm grieving that a little bit because that part of me had to go. And it was the part that we were used to. It's always the parts that we get used to that we need to let is. And I wonder why that is. And when the body feels safe enough, once you do all those things and the body feels safe enough, grief will soften up all by itself. You won't even have that to worry about. I just wanted to take that time and talk about it, about what grief feels like in the body, because I think that's so important. Because a lot of people don't understand why they feel the way they feel when they're going through what they're going through. So those are some ways that grief can manifest in the body. So how do you stay with that without trying to fix it? I'm noticing that the anticipatory grief that I'm feeling doesn't ask to be solved, especially in some situations. That might not be the ideal thing. It just wants to be noticed. It just wants to say, hey, dude, I see you. I see you coming. I see you trying to tell me that something I'm about to lose was important to me. Up or down, good or bad, in or out. It was important to me. And so now I'm about to lose it. And the body, I'm sorry, it just wants to be noticed. The grief just wants to be noticed. Just named. Not analyzed, not rushed away, just figured out, hey, what is this? What am I feeling? And how do I deal with this? How do I get my body not to keep the score for this? Don't let your body keep the score. Work it out some kind of way. Find something that you can, once you sit with your grief, find something that helps you to cope with that. Whether it be the deep breathing, all those things we talked about. But what I want you to remember is that when you're experiencing grief, this is the most important thing, and I keep saying it because I don't want people to feel like grief is just a random feeling that you get when you get sad. I want you to know and understand that grief is something, the knowing that something is changing that mattered to you. If you've ever lost anything that matters to you, you've experienced grief. Like I said, this doesn't always deal around the death of someone. Grief can come up in a lot of things. You can grieve summer. I'm grieving summer right now with all this nasty weather. So I'm curious. Are you grieving something that hasn't fully happened yet? Do you know what I mean when I say grieving things that haven't happened yet? Good morning, Chanel. You don't have to explain it. Just notice it. Put it in the chat. Let's talk about it. Good morning, Chanel. We're talking about anticipatory grief. This is part 1 in a 3-part series on grief without the drama. We're talking about shed no skin, shed no lives, all kinds of things. Thank you for getting that heart me, Chanel. Good morning, Sharon. Welcome in. You know, there's no right way to grieve something that's still unfolding. I mean, just think about that. Think about how in tune our body is that we would grieve something that hasn't even happened yet. Okay, thank you. I forget this is the morning that you have to go out. Be safe out there. I don't know if it's icy on the roads or not. There's just no right way to do that. There's no right way to grieve something that hasn't happened yet. But what we can do is give it a name, find out what it is, give it a name, and help our bodies work through it so we don't get caught up. We don't get all stoved up, as the old peoples used to say, with our grief and emotion. Yeah, and see, and I'm sure that you had your reasons for letting that friendship go. There were good parts of it. I'm positive for the last 22 years, there had to be some good parts of it. So the good outweighs the bad, but sometimes the bad is enough to make us need to end this relationship for whatever reason. Maybe the other person wants to end this relationship. And so we grieve what we used to know and we name it. I'm grieving this friendship. This is why I'm so sad. This is why I'm so tired. This is why I feel like I don't want to do anything. It's all about feeling those feelings. Oh, thank you for that TikTok, Chanel. But one thing I want you to remember, and I kind of said this before, that you're allowed to feel tenderness and hope, sadness and gratitude. You can be sad for the loss of this friendship, this relationship, this loved one, but you can also remember all the good times in that, right? With the tenderness and hope of a true friend, a true mother, daughter, sister, brother. Know that grief is not a failure of strength. Just because you're grieving doesn't mean you're not strong. Yep, sometimes you can have all the love and respect in the world, but it's just like, yep, something's wrong here. This relationship isn't doing what it's supposed to do, and I'm out. Now that is the truth. But you recognize that, and you allowed yourself the autonomy to move away from it. That's the key. That's the secret right there, when we can move away from it. Grief is not a failure of strength. It's a sign of connection. It's a sign that you are in connection with your body, with your feelings. You're feeling everything because you're reading your emotions as information. And when you can make that connection, where your grief is a sign of connection, when you are really, really paying attention to your body and you are reading your body and you are giving that information, and you take that information and you will find out that grief is not a failure of strength. You don't grieve because you're not strong enough. That just doesn't even make sense. You're grieving. You're not grieving, but you're grieving because something was important to you. I can't say that enough. When it comes to death, it's a sign of connection for me, that they're very close, and it's comforting. Yes, absolutely, Allie. And when you get in a situation where it's anticipatory, the grief of the loss of a loved one, you have so many mixed emotions. You have so many feelings because you're like, oh, nothing's happened yet, but and that could be applied to so many things in our lives. It doesn't always have to be about death. It can be about the death of the friendship, the death of something else, something that used to be. Good morning, Keisha. So if you take any one thing away from today's live, I want you to take this away. Anticipatory grief is not giving up on life. It's honoring what matters while it's still here. This is one of those things that you can take this topic and you can take and apply to every aspect of your life. I'm glad you're good, Keisha. Staying warm, I hope. Good morning, Royce. So if you're carrying something quietly today, you're not doing it wrong. It doesn't have to be big and loud and all that. This series is just going to be an invitation for you to notice grief when it arrives, because it will enter your life in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And that's okay. Because like I said, when we talk about grief, we're not always talking about a death. We're talking about the death of, we're not always talking about the death of a person. We can be talking about the death of the ego, the death of old relationships. I was thinking about a friendship that I used to have years and years and years and years ago. And I had to mourn that. I had to give it some space because it kept coming up to me. It just kept coming up. It kept coming up. So I had to honor it, and I had to give it some space. And once I did that, I felt better. So honor your grief. Give it some space. I lost my daughter, Deputy Charles Pease, to suicide 2025. I'm sure your heart is broken. My condolences to you. Her angel daughter has been gone 11 years that past Sunday. You're right. I no longer want to deal with certain police. Yeah, I'm sorry for that. My condolences to you too, Keisha. Yeah, see, if we think about it hard enough, we have places in our life where we have replaced grief with the knowing. When we start to think about all the good things. Oh, you're welcome. So this series is just an invitation to know that when grief arrives, how we notice it. Oh, thank you for that gift, Keisha. Thank you for the roses, Chanel. So I want you to move gently today. I want you to think about if there's anything in your life that you're grieving, and hopefully through this series, we can all get to the bottom of it, learn how to release it from our bodies, and continue living our lives. So remember, if you're carrying something quietly today, you're not doing it wrong. Thank you for the gift, Chanel. Thank you so much. You have a great day too, Allie. Thank you so much. Great day too, Allie. Thank you so much for joining. So I want you guys to join me on, today is Wednesday, on Friday. For the second part of this series called Grief Without the Drama. And I hope you guys have a great day today. I hope you guys dream big, live bold, and imagine the life that you want to live. Because this is your life. You get to live it. Oh, you're in Houston, Texas. How's the weather there in Houston today? Yes, this is country living at its finest. Hey, Slider. Yeah, she said it's nippy. I bet it is nippy. Thanks for that heart, me Slider. I appreciate that. It is nippy. It's nippy here too in West Alabama. That's where this view is from. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure you're following. Turn your notifications on so you don't miss the next time I go live. I go live right here from this window until the weather changes. At such time, I may go back to the porch. Thank you so much for the roses, Slider. That I'll go back to the porch. But until then, we are at the window. All right, time to rope, Brizzy. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it so much. Slider, where are you? Be careful out there. I know it's snowing. You know, normally up north somewhere. I know it's snowing wherever you are. So be careful. If it's not snowing, it's probably ice and stuff on the road. So be careful. $50 miles out of Dallas. Oh, you're welcome, Lily. You're going to enjoy this one. I know you're going to enjoy this one. So come on in for part 2. And the series is named Grief with No Drama. But part 2 is going to be talking about grieving what changed, even when life goes on. Hey, Train. Thank you so much for the gifts. Thank you so much for the gifts. So y'all don't miss what's going on. So don't miss the next part in this series on Friday. I hear you, Train. Not a whole lot. You know, I'm back in the States. My mom got sick, so I had to come back to the States for a little bit. Thank you so much, Lily. Make sure you tell someone about it. I'll be making a post. When you see that post, make sure you share that post so that we can get some good conversation going around this thing that we call grief. And with that, y'all, I'm going to sign off. Y'all don't forget to dream big. Dream so big that it scares you. Live bold enough that people think you're crazy for living the life that you live. And imagine that life that you want to live, because it's your life. You may as well live it to the fullest. I thank y'all for bearing with me today. I appreciate you for being here. And I will see you all on Friday. Imagine life. Take care.